Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Grote, and this is my review on shooting raw video with the Canon 6D using Magic Lantern. I don't know about you, but when I first started hearing about raw video, I got pretty excited. I know how much easier it is to work with a raw photo than a JPEG, and having that same flexibility with my videos sounded like a really exciting idea. I mainly shoot with the Canon 6D. It's an awesome camera, it's a cheap full frame, and it has really good low light capabilities. So when I heard that Magic Lantern was going to be releasing raw video for it, I got excited. Okay, so the first thing you should know is that your resolution is limited by the speed of your SD card. Here are some of the options you can choose from when setting up raw video on Magic Lantern. With the SD cards I usually use, the highest resolution I can record continuously is 480p. With one of the higher speed SD cards, you can record continuously up to 720p, but those high-speed cards are more than twice the cost. Magic Lantern wasn't letting me shoot any higher than 1792 by 1008, but even with the high-speed card, I could only record 1792 by 1008 for about 3 seconds. Here are those same shots, but they've all been upscaled to full HD. If we zoom in to see how sharp the image is, we see a few things. Here's the H.264 video that the camera will record without Magic Lantern, then the raw video shot at all different resolutions. As you can see, the sharpness remains consistent in all the raw shots, but that makes perfect sense since all it's doing is cropping more or less of the edges as you change the resolution of your raw video. Let's check out another example. In this one, I move the camera further or closer to the object to keep the framing consistent. To make things the most relevant, I shot in 480p, 720p, and H.264, because those are the three options you'll have for shooting continuously, depending on which SD card you have. Here are the same exact shots upscaled to full HD, since that is what most of us would be doing. If we zoom in, here's the raw 720p image and here's the H.264 image. Side by side, it looks like the H.264 image is sharper, if you ask me. Alright, now let's jump into some side-by-side low-light tests. On the left, I've got the 720p raw video upscaled to full HD, and on the right, I've got the H.264 video. Okay, so let's look at that again, but zoomed in. It seems like with RAW, there's already a noticeable difference in noise even at 200 ISO. By the time you get to about 3200 ISO, I would consider the RAW video unusable. But if I'm shooting H.264, I could go all the way up to 12,800 ISO and my shot would still be usable. The H.264 shot at 12,800 ISO has less noise than the raw video at 1600 ISO. So if you're shooting raw video on the 6D, you've basically just thrown away its awesome low light capabilities. But how does it do in good lighting? Well, let's check it out. Here's a close-up H.264 shot of a tree. Here's the same shot, but shooting raw 720. The sharpness looks about the same. Here's a wider H.264 shot, and the raw shot. Once again, it looks like the H.264 image is slightly sharper, although the color does look slightly better in the raw image. Let's look at one last example, but comparing H.264 to raw shot at 1792 by 1008. The H.264 is producing a pretty good looking image here. But then when we see the raw image, it blows the H.264 image out of the water. I did very slight color correction on both shots, but it looks much better in the raw image. There's more information in the shadows, the sky looks more blue, the green of the trees and grass looks better, and the leaves from the tree on the left are much sharper. So basically, if you can shoot raw at full HD, then you're going to have a much better looking image, but only if you're in good lighting. If you're limited to shooting raw at 720p like you are with the 6D, then the disadvantages really outweigh the advantages. Right now, the only advantage to shooting raw seems to be a little bit more flexibility with color correction. When it comes to disadvantages, you have larger file sizes, you need faster SD cards, which are 2 to 3 times the price. You have to run them through a whole lot of different processes just to get them to the point where you can edit them. Like you have to run the raw file through a program like Rawizer that turns them into a bunch of DNG files, and then you load up something like After Effects and import them as, you know, a raw DNG sequence, and then you have to export them out of After Effects and into Premiere or whatever editing software you use. Some will let you just bring in the composition from After Effects straight into your editing software. Either way, it adds a lot of extra steps. If you're just shooting with the H.264 codec right out of the camera, you can just load it right onto throw it right on your timeline, and you're good to go. So it kind of seems like it's not really worth it to shoot RAW with the 6D. Now, the version of Magic Lantern that I'm using is a developer version. There isn't a stable release yet. Maybe in the future when that comes, they will have improved the RAW video. Maybe they'll find a way to make a higher resolution possible, but right now it just doesn't seem worth it to shoot RAW with the 6D. I hope this review has been helpful. I'll see you guys next time.